To Westerners, it's known as the Dark Continent because so little is known about it. So when a group of students from the University of Oklahoma headed to Ghana, few of us knew what to expect. The first of the sub-Saharan African colonies to gain independence in 1957, Ghana became a shining example of Africa for Africans. Like their neighbors, a majority of the population still struggles with poverty, but the vibrancy and peace found here is uniquely Ghana. Named the Gold Coast by British colonizers because of their abundance of gold and cocoa, Ghana was the last place seen by millions of slaves funneled into the slave trade. Ghanaian culture is full of song and dance, infused with tribal customs and elements of globalization. Now tourist attractions, you can visit forts and castles along the coast, once part of the slave trade. We'll visit a few of these and more on our trip through Ghana. We begin in the capital city of Accra.
It was breathtaking to actually be in Africa. All these years growing up, I always dreamed of being there and to actually land and see the people in their traditional clothing and just how friendly everyone was. It was nothing like I was expecting. It was beautiful.
When I first landed in Ghana, of course we were really exhausted from the long plane ride. Finally we found Pro Coco and he led us to our small little taxi and rode back to the guest house.
So here we are in our classroom in the Osu area, right here at the KNUST guest house.
I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to Ghana. Ghana is a very peace-loving country. We have about 23 million people living in Ghana, and our currency is the cedi. Ghana has been divided into segments, and we call them regions. So we have 10 regions in Ghana, and each region has a central government, but they all still have the national capital, which is Accra, where we are now.
So class, I just wanted to formally introduce Kokroko, and I know we picked most of you up at the airport, but he's our right-hand man on this trip this week. He's also our Twi teacher.
Akwaba is to welcome you. Everywhere you go, you hear people say Akwaba.
Akwaba!
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 Akwaba. Akwaba. Literally means that you've gone all the way out and you have returned.
Their culture is definitely big on rhythm and dance and expressing yourselves through movement and singing.
It really gave you an authentic African experience, just learning their dance and learning their music. It was a lot of fun, and at first I was a little shy about it, but a couple minutes in I was a natural, or I thought I was.
It was a lot of fun. It was really, really hot. I thought I was going to die of heat stroke and just sweating, but it was fun.
I danced. I danced my butt off. and actually that was one of the things that I wanted to explore the most was the music and how it was infused within their culture. They had the drums, they had the simple maracas. Everything was still just had that African groove to it, and it was extraordinary. Music is everywhere. I mean, luckily I was able to go to some churches and a funeral, and even there they were just bumping some music with some bass. Everyone was dressed in red or black. The music was blaring. Most people get really, really intoxicated. It was a much different sight to see at a funeral. It wasn't nothing what you would expect.
Ghanaian funerals are usually week-long events. The first few days, the men and women visit the casket to grieve their lost one. But the rest of the time, the funeral is full of music, coming from a live band or a DJ. Late into the night, family and friends celebrate the life of the deceased. Next, we head about 90 miles down the coast from Accra to Cape Coast. Founded by the Portuguese in the 15th century, Cape Coast changed hands between many colonizers. Now Cape Coast is a fishing town erected around a former slave trade castle built by the Dutch in 1650. The castle was captured by the British a few years later, and they made Cape Coast the capital of the Gold Coast for more than 200 years.
I was very overwhelmed with emotion, I guess, when I went to Cape Coast. It was something I knew we were going to and I knew we were going to see, but I didn't expect it to have that big of an impact on me.
So we are going to enter. It was a condemned cell. But today I'll condemn you, but nobody will die. I think so.
It's hard to even put that into words, just knowing that the countless amount of slaves that walked through there, knowing that they would never be back in their homeland. It was very sad.
There was tons of things you never really thought about or knew that existed until you actually went to the slave castle and got to see how big of a deal it was to go from the governor's mansion at the very top of the hierarchy, down to just where slaves were just constantly being flushed through.
It was almost a humbling experience, knowing the history of that and how the United States impacted this horrible history.
About 200 men were kept here. They walked through the tunnel, then into the sea. They did not see sunlight.
When you walked through the door of no return, it was like a blinding flash of immense power. I don't know. When you walked through, there was just life everywhere.
It opens up to the fishing town and how everybody comes up to you and they're wanting to meet you and sell you things. And then what really was inspiring to me was they named the backside of it the Door of Return, and they were welcoming back the descendants of people in the slave trade. And I think that was really moving to see that.
A group of 11 students embarked on a journey to Ghana. In the capital city of Accra, professional dancers showed us the rhythm and moves that flow through the culture. Next, we traveled down the coast where we learned about the horrors of the slave trade inside Cape Coast Castle. But we also saw the perseverance of the Ghanaian people and their ability to grow around this painful reminder. On our way out of Cape Coast, we made a brief stop at Kakum National Park, where you can visit the rainforest from above on a 7-platform canopy walk, one of only 4 in the world.
During the actual hike through the Kakum rainforest, I was literally plotting in my mind, like, how am I going to make it back to the bus or the train without anyone noticing? I was terrified.
Being in Africa and knowing that I was about to walk across this tiniest bridge on earth that was so skinny and just on like wooden planks, that was insanely crazy and scary.
I loved the canopy walk. I wanted to go through it all again and just run it, like with no one in front of me. It was a lot of fun. I'm not afraid of heights or anything, so I really liked being there and being in the jungle. I wish we had more time to explore.
It's unbelievable how high you were, and it didn't feel like you were that high, but when you would look down and you would see you were way above the tips of trees, you realize, okay, I'm a few hundred feet up in the air. It didn't feel like it, though. It felt like if you fell, you would just glide onto some pillows. No.
This is probably the tallest tree around.
To walk on it, you have to have balance. I mean, if you leaned on too much to the left, too much to the right, it felt like you were going to fall.
To actually walk that course and to just go through it with everyone, it was just such a bonding experience for me, because I don't know if anyone could tell, but I was terrified.
You guys are doing great. Here, if we fall here, we're not dead. We made it! Next, we travel to the heart of the Ashanti region, Kumasi. Kumasi has the second largest population outside of Accra. The majority of the population is self-employed farmers or those who own their own shops. Many of the country's natural resources are bought, sold, and exploited in this region of Ghana. Gold and timber are major industries in Kumasi, but surface mining and illegal logging have taken its toll on the environment. NGOs operate in Kumasi to educate the population about land degradation and waste management.
As we all know, when a mining company comes in to mine, first of all, they clear the land. If there's forest, they have to clear the land. And after that, sometimes they don't cover their pits. Okay, then it becomes a breeding grounds to so many, sometimes stagnant water brings out other environmental or health issues.
If they are setting up, say, timber industry, then the possibility that the forest will be depleted and there will be deforestation is higher if there is no proper policy put in place for reforestation. After harvesting, the environment will be left bare. It will bring about desertification, and the rivers will dry up, and it will also reduce the fertility of the land.
That's why we want to start with education. Unfortunately, the projects they are putting in place is providing the solutions. Like they just, let's say, when they realize that this place, people throw waste and all that, they provide bins and all that. No, that's not it. You have to educate the people right away that you need to put your waste into this bin. Because if you don't put it into this bin and you put it into the gutters, it's going to choke the gutters. When it rains, it's going to flood your houses, the markets, places, and all that. So the number one problem is, or the one solution is education.
Only, it's not so easy to get an education in Ghana. Only about half of the children in Kumasi attend school, because many times the families either can't afford it or need the kids to help at home. However, we did see the impacts of these lessons when we visited a local government-funded school.
I'll formally introduce the Dream Environment Club of Good Shepherd.
The kids were extremely intelligent and they were hilarious. They would do skits on how cholera affects everybody in society and how you shouldn't, you need to be clean and help keep sanitation in order to be healthy.
It's up to me to plant more trees
so that there can be more oxygen in the cool breeze.
It's up to me to clear all weeds in my environment
so that mosquitoes and snakes won't attack any moment.
Honestly, that probably was my most favorite thing in Africa, was visiting the children at the school. I mean, once we walked in to the school, the children just got all ecstatic. They were all just along the balconies, just looking at us, smiling, waving, laughing. They were really excited to listen to us speak.
I thought that it was really great that you guys know that keeping your environment clean starts with you.
Just talking to them about how sanitation works in the United States was really interesting too, because they were so excited to see a future like that for Ghana. They were very optimistic and very focused on wanting to fix the situation. They knew what was wrong and they knew what needed to be done, and it's really inspiring to see that generation, and it'll be interesting over the next few years to see them evolve and to see if they've actually accomplished what they set out to do.
I've never seen children so happy just to see another human being. The children would say, "Obroni, Obroni," which means white man not from this land. And in response, I would get excited and say, "Obibini," which means black man. and they got a huge trip out of that. They would rush up to you, hold your hands, jump around, sing songs that you had no idea what they were saying, but it was the most adorable thing I've ever seen.
The official language of Ghana is English. However, most everyone speaks a native language as well. Twi, the language of the Akan people, is spoken by over half the population. Outside central Kumasi, different villages specialize in making a variety of textiles. In this village, many residents weave a silk and cotton fabric into kente cloth. Kente cloth has great meaning to the people in the Ashanti region. Different colors and patterns signify social status. Symbols stamped on the cloth with a special dye translate to African proverbs.
Welcome to home of Edinka. Here we only do the painting and then the dyeing of funeral cloth, the black and then the red cloth. But first we are going to talk about how to get the dye.
They showed us the exact steps of what they do in order to make the ink, in order to for the stamps to stamp on the cloth.
You see there's a back wood over there.
In the cauldron, they used bark to make dye.
So you take the pistol and you hit it hard. You see? Black color. Black. You see?
Different colors from purple, red, blue. They had the whole shebang.
So in all, after pounding full of this is what you get. So we are going to boil it for 6 hours. And then it reduced to this one, and then it becomes thick and turn to black.
It was really interesting to see the actual process that they go through making that dye and all the preparation that's put into that.
Now when you boil more than 6 hours, they turn to particles. It's of no use. It means you lost. You waste your fire, you waste your time, you waste water, you waste the back. So you're supposed to be active of your time. We have about 66 different carving. But the carving is different, but the meaning is one.
There were tons of stamps from Obama to a star that meant God is with me. There was a huge selection of symbols.
The stamps that I chose were faith and hope.
I, for one, did a stamp. I was only able to do one stamp compared to everyone else, sad enough. But mine was, I grabbed it out of random, and my stamp was marry me.
God, there is something in heaven, let it reach me. That is a symbol of hope. This one is go back to your roots.
Oh, okay.
So back to America or back to Ghana. Then we have the wooden comb. You know comb, the one they used to comb their hair. So there are many. And this is Aya. I'm not afraid of you. You like, I'm not, so you are not afraid of me?
I'm not afraid of you.
Okay, come to this side. The best one, 11. Hold it, right handed or left handed?
Right.
So hold it. Hold it.
Yeah,
This set up. Here you go.
Look, I did it.
We began our journey in busy Accra, where we picked up the dance of the people and the rhythm of the drums. In Cape Coast, we learned about the history of the slave trade and its impact on Ghanaian society. And in Kumasi, we learned the importance of future generations and the culture of the Ashanti people. As our journey comes to an end, we have one more stop near Ghana's eastern border with Togo. After a 45-minute hike through the Agumasta Wildlife Sanctuary, we emerged to find the Wali Waterfalls, the highest falls in Ghana.
It was beautiful, just hiking through the rainforest and seeing all the wildlife and hearing the wildlife and then seeing that beautiful waterfall just spilling over that wall.
It's cold, you can feel the wind from the power of the water just brushing through. I mean, it was immense, and there was just a constant mist and just beautiful green surrounding it, an oasis, you know, bats on the walls all along. I mean, it was extraordinary. That's probably one of my favorite places that we went.
It hurt a little when we were underneath it, but I mean, it was really a neat experience.
Ghana challenged what each of us knew or thought we knew about Africa. A few Google searches could have never prepared us for what we encountered.
I would recommend anyone to go to Ghana because it opens your eyes to a different world that we're not used to. That was the biggest thing.
what you find there, you don't learn about the culture and their history. You learn about yourself as well, and you learn about, I guess, how to handle yourself better in any kind of situation. Like for me, it helps me to become more patient and to become less occupied with time and more focused on finding enjoyment in the smaller things.
The people there are the most friendly people you'll ever meet on Earth. I don't think there was one encounter where we had a conflict or an issue or a rude person speak to us.
Even if that's not your prerogative for going, you should at least go just to see and meet the people. I mean, the people are absolutely incredible. They're nice, they're nice and they're friendly, and they're always willing to help you despite what they've been through.
You also realize how fortunate, living in the U.S. and being born in the U.S. you are.
If nothing more, for an educational experience, to go over there and experience what it's like to live in Ghana. It's not everything that you see on TV.
Will stay with you and change you.
Long after we've returned to the U.S., we will remember the people and culture, the struggles and triumphs of this vibrant country. And one day, if we return, we can be sure we will hear the familiar Akwaaba welcoming us back, because we have gone all the way out and we have returned.
Light wars.
Great. We're lost in a wine shop.
Tiana, what are you today?
I'm a survivor.
Beautiful. I just did.
Yes.